How much cachet does Kentucky still bring, you think?
What, I don't even know what that word means. What is that?
Mystique.
I don't know. I've never looked at it like that, so you'd have to ask my players that, right? But, I've never looked at it that way, so I can't even answer that.
What would a win over Kentucky mean, do you think?
Be a big SEC win. I mean, we know what time it is, and we know we got to play good basketball. Like we know that, and all these matter. A great deal. You focus on winning, you usually don't win. You focus on executing, playing good basketball. It gives yourself the best chance to win. I know it's a redundant statement, but I'm going to add a third element into that. And I know this has been repetitive. I keep saying this, but we got to take it personal. And I don't just mean as a team. I mean as an individual player. Like we got to. I wrote something on the board last game. Hoopers hoop, winners win. Never more important than March, right? You don't remember a March Madness when they show one shining moment. They don't show some great play that was ran. They show some great players stepping it up. And March, the great players got to step it up. And so if we do those three things, execute, do the things you're supposed to do to be successful, and our great players step it up, it gives you a great chance to do well.
Do you feel like you ever have to, at this point, maybe juggle lineups or something like that for some of the guys that are maybe not producing to the level?
I think so. I think you're gonna have to get guys on the floor. I think you got to get guys on the floor that are going to win that matchup that night, whatever that means. That could be lineups, that could be minutes, but we gotta win some of these lineups, particularly tomorrow at this guard position. They got three really good guards.
So, what do you want to prove and see this last week?
I don't want to say wins because I that like I said, is that good basketball results in that taking care of itself a lot of the times. Okay, now we're not the only team in the SEC trying to win. We're not the only team with good players, but I want to play our best basketball down the stretch. I do. I mean that's very important. These last two games and then head into March, and I want our players to really understand that, and I've mentioned this, that when you're in the off season and you're in the gym by yourself, or when you're growing up and you're in high school or you're in junior high, you're in the off season dreaming of March. When you're in the gym counting down 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. You can't be here in March dreaming about the off season. You can't be in March dreaming about the off season. I don't think we have that going on. But I want to remind these guys that came from all over the world that this is what they dreamed about, and this is what they've worked for, and just don't have any regrets. Oh.
You told us last week how you kind of really challenged your guys to lock in for 1 week. Even though y'all lost on Saturday, do you feel like that buy-in and that lock-in has been there?
I think the lock-in's been really good as a team. You don't see any. I still believe we play as hard as. I don't like giving bulletin board material that we're the hardest playing team in college basketball for the next group to show. See what they say? And now they amp their stuff up, right? But I think when you watch our team play, you're not going to see many teams that play as hard as we do consistently, play together. I want our guys to buy into the belief in themselves as players. I want them to have that belief in themselves in these big moments that they can rise to the occasion like they have so many times. And I know it's a very repetitive deal, but this time of year, we got to have guys rise up. Like we have at times, but even more important this time of year, not just as a team, not just with execution, not just with playing hard, but hey, I've worked my whole life when I have this open shot right here to knock this thing down. Now it's time to step up here with the courage and the conviction that I've worked for this and let it rip.
You talk about players rising up. It seemed like Pop rose up in those last 5 minutes on Saturday, but just were there anything that you saw that he could take from that to try and maybe extend that through the first 35 going forward?
I thought Pop played the best game I've ever seen him play last game. People won't understand that. I grabbed him at halftime. I don't even know if he had scored. And I told him, look, man, you've had games you scored 30 points in games. That's the best game you've ever played. His effort and tenacity and heart was winning basketball. Like, he was out there on a mission. And, you know, it takes players sometimes, particularly coming back from injury, it takes players in a new program to be all in. The guys that I play the most are guys I feel that are all in. Pop was all in last game. He was all in. And I don't even know how many he scored. I don't care. I'd care that that dude was out there fighting. You know, he was in the octagon and he fought. And so that's going to help him get on the floor more for sure. But that when you do that, your offense just kind of comes naturally to you.
This is y'all's first Saturday, Tuesday turnaround in a while. Does the preparation change when it's this late in the season? Do you maybe practice lighter when it's that quick of a turnaround, or is it just, you know, not that bad since it was a afternoon game?
Good question. We actually went pretty hard there. We were lighter yesterday. We watched some tape and shot. We went really hard. I think the biggest thing is when you have short turnaround this time of year, yeah, you got to get body right, game plan, all that, but you got to get over the last one. You know, it's like Middleton talked to our team after last game and said, you know, being in the league, what you learn is that, hey, you got to, after a game, you got to fix it and move on. Fix it and move on, right? And some of the things that we did wrong, and there wasn't a lot of things, mental things that we did wrong in the Texas game. We need to fix those and move on. And that's been our deal because we know the magnitude of these games coming up here. And we knew the magnitude of the last game. I don't want to negate that. Like, everybody knew the magnitude of all these. But in a short turnaround, that's more than anything. You can't be caught up on the last one.
Was that pre-planned for Chris to talk with you guys, and just what do you think that meant to your players to hear from a guy like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was great talk. I couldn't be in there for it. We were doing media and stuff, but I mean, that was the message. Someone recorded it for me. I thought it was great. I mean, you know, they had a run here where they had lost several in a row, and then they got rolling. We're not in that spot. We hadn't lost. You know, we won 2, then lost these at Arkansas, then lost versus Texas. But those guys know what it takes, obviously, in this league. And we still got this awesome opportunity right here, right in front of us. I mean, we got a chance to get to 11 wins in the league. In a league that's like, you never know. 11 wins can get you. There's an outside chance to get you a double bye, right? So, you know, you got to look at the opportunity right here. Like, hey, we're in a great position. We got to fix what we can do, and we got to move on.
I don't know if we've asked you this in a while, but how's McKenzie doing with his progress? And is there any chance, like if y'all made a deep run or anything, that he could come back, or is it totally ruled out that he'll come back for the season?
Yeah, he's out of the season. Yeah, he can't come back. Yeah, he's physically he just started doing his rehab. Yeah.
And how's he doing?
He's doing great. I mean, he's up right now. He's doing it up there, up north and northeast. He's coming back here this week. You were texting last night a little bit, you know. You gotta love him. You know, he's a winner, you know, and we could use him this time of year. He knows that, but you know, he's still with us.
And is there any chance he could come back next season, or do you know if he?
Yeah, he can come back next season.
Set on going to the NBA.
Well, yeah, I mean, he can come back for sure next season. He's not going to go to the NBA unless he was healthy enough to perform well in workouts where his draft status would be where he wanted it to be.
From the outside, like, how do you sort of view UK season? I know in November, December, I think Wildcat fans were ready to fire Mark Pope, and all of a sudden they're, you know, pretty safe at large. NCAA tournament team.
I mean, they're good. They're talented. I mean, they had the preseason player of the year on their team. They got great guard play. You know, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they got really good players, and he does a good job with them for sure. I mean, I think they're ready to fire him. They had some injuries. Some guys were out. You know, I think that they're good, and I think you know, in this league, anybody can beat anybody. We know that, and you know, I hold judgment. I mean, you know, everybody's, you know, at one point wants to fire this guy or fire that guy, then turn around and they look up and they're in the Final Four. So anybody in our league is capable of getting it going, and they dang sure are.
Like, I've heard speculation, you know, people say that this looks like a tired team, and that's why they're not shooting the three-pointers as well as they did earlier in the year. Does that hold any water in your opinion?
I mean, I think everybody this year's tired, but I've never had teams this time of year that hadn't shot the ball well. I mean, that's just everybody's going to have some fatigue. I know that. I don't think we should be any more tired than other teams because we use a deep bench. Our numbers is all measured through our system. We use ConnectSign, and our number loads are actually lower than some of the teams we're playing. So, there's something to that. I do think that scouting, there's something to us, managing that right, and I think we have. I think more than anything else that there's ebbs and flows of the season. If our team was tired, I wouldn't see in practice some of our guys who really, really shoot it well at times and not shoot it as well the next day. I do think that guys are getting covered tighter because they know the strengths and weaknesses of players. We didn't have any problem at Oklahoma shooting the ball, and we may have one of the, we didn't have any problem versus Missouri shooting it. We're shooting threes well, so there's ebbs and flows. Hopefully the flow goes up in this next game. We make 15 threes.
Just from maybe a mental standpoint, how do you balance kind of talking to your guys about, like you said, rise to the occasion, but at the same time, maybe not trying to overthink or overcomplicate things?
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's a really good point. But I constantly mention this, and it's like, do you mention this every March to your team? Like as it approaches March, that becomes more of that kind of deal. I do, because I don't want anyone to be caught off guard when the game becomes that bone-on-bone game late, because that's just every deal you're going to watch March. It becomes more of a bone-on-bone game, right? But you don't want to put pressure on your players. That's not what it is. You just want them to know that when it becomes that game, they wouldn't be here if they couldn't play in that game. And we've had games like that where we have really rose to the occasion. And guess what? In the SEC, guess what? There's two great teams out there. One of those teams is going to rise to it, or those players are going to rise to it, or the other team, right? So maybe we really stepped it up late in that Oklahoma. Maybe in that second half, Texas really kind of stepped it up, and they've made some great defensive plays and offensive plays. But it's just not going to be every night, or we'd win every game in the league, right? It's just kind of how it goes. But what we do have is a chance to get to 11 SEC wins. So that would mean that we're rising to it more than not, and winning these matchups more than not. And a lot of times those matchups, we're going to have a matchup tomorrow versus the preseason player of the year. And so we're really going to have to rise, up in those moments. And I think we got the guys that are capable too, but I just want to give them the confidence that obviously they can do it, and let them know and have that in their mind what this is, so they're not caught off guard when it becomes there late in that game and it's a 2-point game and we got the ball with 2 minutes, what it's going to look like.
How do you think they're responding to that message? Do you feel like they're taking it in well this week?
I think so. I think in the Oklahoma game we were really good with the defense late in the game. I thought we were pretty good with the defense late in the game versus Texas. They actually made some pretty tough shots. Like, we had good defense and they made some tough shots. But they are athletes. And, it is disappointing as an athlete when, hey, this guy gets you this game and you got the guy that you want to come out on the right side of that every game. And if you didn't have that, we wouldn't be very good, right? But I think they know what it is. I think all our players know, they're veterans. They've been a part of it. They know that we're not going to win just because we run up and down the floor tomorrow. We're not going to win just because we run a nice inbounds play. We're going to win because our guys, we play well. And individual players, that they play some good A-plus basketball. Not going to be from everybody, but we need more guys playing some A-plus basketball than not.
Just wondering in your system, though, if the threes don't fall, like, is there any other way to, like, sort of mathematically make the math work? Is it getting the line? Is there a fail-safe?
Yeah, well, first you want to get free throws and layups before you even shoot threes. I mean, that's the thing. You want free throws and layups before threes. And I think the last game, I wouldn't even say we lost the game from the three-point line. We're not going to win a lot of games. We'd say we're make 4 threes in the game, but we went 11 of 23 at the rim. Like 11 of 23 at the rim. Like, you should be making your shots at the rim at a minimum 60%. So, we missed 2 dunks. We missed several layups. we were fine from the free throw line. Over 80% is good. You're not going to make every three. We had some shooters that make some of the threes that they missed. We didn't get a lot of them. But these ones at the rim, you can't be off at the free throw line, at the rim, and from three. We were one of the three. We made free throws. We got to the free throw line, missed more layups than we need to, and obviously could have shot it better from three, but not a ton of opportunities.
From your perspective, what do y'all have to do to get back on track, get back on the win column, and maybe get a win that could really help y'all NCAA tournament hopes?
I mean, yeah, we know with our team, there's not a lot of room for error. Just with our size, with losing McKenzie, I just feel like we're not doing the little things, to the best of our abilities right now. Coach feels the same way. It's not like we're super far off, but we have to be able to control the things that we can control on the court. All the little things we have to be. Nobody's going to be perfect, but we have to be really good at them. We know we got a really good opponent coming in Kentucky, and we know this is a must-win game for us. We got to have this win. So, I like our team's mindset, and we watched the film, and we're going to correct the things we got to do to win the next game.
Bucky's talked about the importance of guard play this time of year. Just with this being a really guard-heavy team, just what's the conversation been like among y'all's group to try and get more production down the line?
Yeah, I mean, just to be confident. Everybody needs to be confident, be themselves. I think all of us have had really good spurts throughout the year, but I don't know if we've all put it together so much at the same time. And we know, we gotta start putting it together if we want to, win and keep playing in March. So, I mean, I think we just gotta have everybody in the right mindset and confident in their games. And, like Bucky says, we gotta win our matchups. So.
You had a strong finish to the game on Saturday. I'm just curious if there's anything you can take from kind of that maybe last 5-minute stretch that you felt like were good things that you did that you could try and build on.
I mean, yeah, I think the last 5 minutes just contributed to the way I was guarding throughout the game. I think Bucky would tell you the same thing. Like, I probably wasn't scoring in the first half, but, I played hard. I play hard all the time, but it's probably the best I've just guarded all year. And Bucky told me that, so probably just continuing to do that side and everything could take care of itself. I mean, this team, we have so many weapons on offense. I just kind of let the game come to me, just as everybody else does. But, I mean, we just got to be able to control the things we can control as far as winning our matchups, especially it starts on the defensive end. So,
if there was one little thing you feel like you guys could try and improve that could make a big difference, what do you think that'd be right now?
I mean, I would just say, obviously, we got to stop the silly fouls that we've been having. We gotta stop having to go back to day one things that we went over as far as our press. And really just, I know I've said it already, but we lost our matchups at the end of that game. Those dudes made some tough one-on-one shots. And it's a player's game at the end of the year. So, I mean, we got to win those matchups and be able to stand our ground and move our feet in those moments. So.
Has practice felt a little different the last couple of days?
I wouldn't necessarily say different. I think if you make things different, it kind of makes everybody overthink things. But I think obviously our approach as far as our mindset has been a little different. Because we know, we don't have much room for error anymore. So I think the guys are in a good headspace, get ready to go win this game tomorrow.
What excites you about the last week before going to Nashville?
We got an opportunity to go get 2 wins and keep building our case for the tournament. We know if we get these 2 wins, we'll be at 11-7, and it'll be really hard to keep us out the tournament. So, that's like the best feeling in the world is when you can control your own destiny and nobody else controls it for you. So, obviously, we've had some slip-ups with the 4 losses in a row and the back-to-back losses just now, but we still, with the start we had, we still control our own destiny to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish.
If you're on that committee, what do you want them to know about this A&M team?
No team is probably going to want to play us in the first round. The way we guard our pressure, we're really good. We play really hard. I think we play, as hard as any team in the country. We've had some, really close losses against teams that'll be, seated really high in the tournament in games that we probably should have won. And I think, it's no doubt about it, we're an NCAA tournament team, so.
What do you know about this Kentucky team you're going to play tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, they're really good. Preseason player of the year, Otega always having a really good year. Obviously, Aberdeen and Colin Chandler are really good shooters. Colin Chandler's probably, been shooting the best in the SEC, with his percentages and stuff like that. And I've known him, a little bit since high school and stuff. He's always been a really good player. So, they got a really good team. They run a lot of actions. And I knew that just from playing, Mark Pope at his BYU days. So, a really good offensive team. And we know we got to be at our best to come in here and get a win tomorrow.
Bucky said last week too, just that he really challenged you guys to lock in for 1 week. Even though y'all lost on Saturday, have you felt like the buy-in and the lock-in nature has been there?
Yeah, for sure. I think we had a really good practice today. It was really competitive. And I think guys are all, the same goal is on everybody's mind. We know we got to, win these next 2 games if just so, we could accomplish what everybody wants to accomplish. A lot of guys on this team hasn't made the NCAA tournament before. Only a few of us have. Like guys like me, Rylan, Zach, Federico, we want to be able to lock in and just help these guys get to somewhere where they haven't been before. So,
How hard is it or not hard is it to sort of try and balance the mental aspect of the urgency of a must win versus like trying not to psych yourselves out?
yeah, I think if you psych yourself out, like it causes a lot of overthinking. You know what I mean? I think just staying even keel. Not getting too high, not getting too low. And I think this group has done a really good job of that. It's not the end of the world, when we lose these games, but we know, it's obviously some urgency. But I think it's just if you get too high or too low, it's not healthy. You know what I mean? So I think the fact that this group has been doing a good job of just staying even keel, I think it's going to really benefit us going into this last week because we've been through a lot of adversity this year, so it's nothing new to us.